free kick. It looks like it's in the goal square at the other end of the ground.
It's against O'Connor. It's against Mark O'Connor.
Wow. So Rayner a chance to insert himself in the contest. And cheers and anger erupt. Another one. What is going on?
Oh no, what's happening?
Guthries levelling from behind. Walk away. Oh dear.
Wow.
These are scenes we rarely see.
Where do we start with this one for the Brisbane Lions at Fancast, Patrick? Let's do the housekeeping. It's all thanks to hoponbrewerytours.com.au. It's all thanks to chriscoms.co. And if it weren't for the girls, it would be a pretty dismal week for the Brisbane Lions Football Club this weekend. Absolutely hammered by the Cats in a qualifying final. The Twos done on the siren in devastating fashion to Box Hill. Ty Gallop was robbed when he was at work. Cam Rayner is now public enemy number 2 after the Adelaide Football Club and their crowd. Lockie Neal's done for the rest of the year. Eric Hipwood is done as well after playing with a torn ACL since April. The back-to-back quest is just looking a bridge too far at this point. So let's have a bit of a wallow, talk about this game on Friday night. And you know what? Let's bring back the wheel for a bit of levity later on in the show. We've got a new voting system.
It's garbage.
It certainly was put to the test with this game. It was put to the test with the Adelaide Collingwood game when, in the second quarter, you said to me, "This is actually awful, isn't it?" But we press on. We see how we go. Let's try and salvage something for this week. What is exciting is that we have a QClash final at the Gabba on Saturday night. So that is, that is something to celebrate in the broader scheme of things. So we will take a moment to have a chat about that later on. But let's get into it. Don't forget to like, rate, subscribe, follow, tell your friends if they're a Brisbane Lions fan to get amongst it. If you like the show, head to the website, buy a shirt. If you really like it, send us a tip through our tip jar. And speaking of tips, the winner of our tipping competition, Beef Tips, has been confirmed.
Was it a yay or nay on the ball idea?
Because I actually ran into this person Monday night. It is someone that we both know, actually. It's Jez's brother, Benny.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah. He was like the umpire at RecLink.
Yeah. Great fella. He said to me,
like
yeah, one of the great blokes.
He doesn't need a Sharon, does he?
Well, when I proposed to the idea of, hey, you'll get a footy, and then the idea is moving forward, we send it around the country to each winner. He goes, oh, so the prize is admin.
Well, he's probably kicked this football before. That's probably a funny little twist here, is he's probably kicked it before. So, fuck yeah. You don't get it now.
Hey, and big shout-outs to Lani and to Steve. Big shout-out to you, Steve. Thank you for your generosity in sending us some money through our tip jar. And Adam as well. Big fans of you for supporting the show. It really is very much appreciated. All right, let's get into it. Qualifying final against the Cats. It was said that the Brisbane Lions are on in the first 5 minutes. And I wouldn't say we were off, but I could definitely tell the Cats were on in that first 5 minutes. They came to play, didn't they?
Yes, they did. I don't entirely buy into that first 5 minutes thing. I think it's by the end of the first quarter you can tell. Because we didn't, as you said, we didn't look bad. And even against the Gold Coast at People's First, we didn't look that poor in the first 10 minutes. They basically did to us what we did to them. But we're probably getting slightly ahead of ourselves. We welcomed back Lockie Neal, which obviously didn't turn out well. And who else came in or didn't come
Bez
in?
came back in, and we dropped Bruce and Tunstall. We held on to Sammy Marshall. He became the sub. I would think moving forward that one of those two comes in, Jimmy or Bruce, with the obvious injury to Lockie Neal. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, obviously. So, Lockie Neal came back in. Fair to say he had a bit of ring rust.
I have not seen him fumble the ball that many times, ever. He looked like he wasn't able to kind of... Yeah, he's like one of the best players that's sort of stooping like a duck to go and pick the ball up.
Yep.
Maybe not specifically like a duck, but ducks are vaguely stooped. He seemed almost like hesitant to do that. Whether it was like the kind of ballistic frontal pressure that was coming from the Cats is another story altogether. They were missing Reece Stanley. And I said just before we started, he's a fine ruckman, but arguably Blitzarves and SDK can give you a bit more around the ground as well. So to me, not really losing out when you're not having Stanley play. So good on them for having replacements that actually possibly improve their team.
They obviously went the double tag, and Rayner has caused a problem for the Cats in the past. Obviously earlier this year as well. So Mark O'Connor went to him, which was, I suppose, a little bit of a surprise. The less surprising one was obviously O'Shane Mullen going straight to Hugh McCluggage and did a fantastic job on Huey across the night. That strapping on that knee seems to be getting more hectic each and every week. And, there's photos of him actually grabbing that knee at All-Australian night as well. So I would imagine that he's going to have some sort of clean-up surgery at the end of the year on whatever's going on with that knee.
Did you see the picture of the 3 Bulldogs guys all having had shoulder
Yes.
recos in hospital together?
Yeah.
That was pretty good. I mean, I don't agree that I don't think the taping has gotten more hectic. I think at the Fremantle game, it was what it is still.
Yeah.
But he's just using that white tape, so it's quite noticeable. So
Yeah, maybe that's all it was.
But yeah, I don't know if he just got a bit rattled or if Mullen played him particularly well. And then in the middle, you kind of had Atkin just tackling everything that was available for him to tackle, which is a kind of terrifying prospect.
They were on, and you could tell that first Zorko kick that was cut off from Stengel. You could tell, all right, they're as David King says, don't get beaten by what you know, and there's no way Chris Scott was going to let what happened last time happen again. So they were onto it. They, as you mentioned just off air, they sort of left that little bit of a teasing distance, cut off the kicks, and their pressure was just amazing all game. Like, tackle numbers were through the roof, and we sort of just had to rely a little bit on moments of brilliance and ball movement to actually get anything going, but it certainly didn't look like a Brisbane Lions game for a good portion of the night.
No, I think it is difficult when we've got this kind of makeshift forward line and there's a bit of structural stuff that's not really kind of happening. We just weren't able to get set up behind the ball, and I think although there were times where we had relatively good territory, we were definitely punished in moments. It was almost a return of red time goals and the small bursts, and I think when we touch on the twos, I didn't watch a lot of the twos, but I watched the end of that game.
Oof.
I feel like both them and our AFL team have a very trying to think of the right choice of phrase. They have an absolute inability to just create a repeat stoppage. It's as if they don't know how to not keep the ball on the inside. They're always wanting to go on the outside and go quickly, whereas the last stoppage of the VFL game, it just needed to be held in, and you win the game. And for us, in order to stem momentum, we were getting killed out of centre clearance. Around the ground, we were fine, so why not keep the ball in and create a second stoppage, which is what you're having dominance in? Because I thought in the second quarter, we controlled the quarter basically the whole time. They just kicked 4 goals in 4 minutes, and it was like lifting goals. It's the sort of thing where Ryan Lester kicked a goal and everyone's really up at that. It was Tom Stewart, it was that dude with his first goal, probably some other guys, might even have been Sam de Koning, just like
Blitzarves
team lifting
as well,
goals.
I think,
yeah, Blitzarves, I think it was probably about 2 years ago, I was like, I've never seen Blitzarves kick a goal. Holy shit, have I seen him kick goals now? Almost every time.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But yeah, I think that second quarter,
we were lucky to be within 2 goals at quarter time. If it wasn't for their inaccurate kicking, like that, they just sort of kept the door ajar for us. And even luckier to be within 2 goals at halftime as well. And we will obviously get to the massive talking point of the game in due course. But
I think worth noting as well with that, though, is that a lot of their missed shots were rushed. I think at one point they kicked 11 behinds, but 5 of them were rushed. And I think across the day we had a lot that fell short and weren't rushed on our side. You know, Will Ashcroft, I think, took 3 shots that were marked in the goal square. And you're just sitting there going, kick the ball further. So I think...
Kicked a few on those in his left as well.
Yeah, because, I mean, I watched a video during the week about great finals chokes. And the 2008 Cats were mentioned as being inaccurate, but I think there was like 11 rush behinds in that game. So you can't really claim that. So sometimes it's like you look at the scoreboard, and that's where I think a rushed behind or touched category could be good. You know, it could work well for kind of understanding the game better rather than just looking at it, but it adds extra clutter, and I don't think on their score bugs they will be able to fit it. So
Ryan Lester had a first quarter to absolutely forget, didn't he? In the lead up to this game, I was sort of like, you know, Geelong, they've got some stars in that team, clearly. But I said, you know, 2 of the ones I'm not necessarily worried about, Jeremy Cameron and Paddy Dangerfield, because I think we can actually match up on those guys pretty well. Froggy Lester's done the job well previously. And then, you know, when Paddy Dangerfield goes forward, Starcevich could take that job. But my God, Froggy got absolutely massacred in that first quarter particularly, and he was just left panicked and like wanting to swap players and then swap back and then look for chop outs, and yeah, it was bad. They massacred my boy.
He struggled. He struggled, but I don't think that by the end of the game he wasn't one that you look at and go, he had a nightmare, I don't think. You look at it early in the game, because Jeremy Cameron didn't do anything after the first quarter. He had like 9 shots
and
at goal.
I think maybe the swap to Diz was a little bit more permanent. I thought Dizzy actually did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean, Dizzy's had some good... You know, he's played well on good players in the past. He's done jobs on, like, Lance Franklin back when he was at Sydney, which was the most recent place he's been, so that's a dumb sentence. And he's also done a pretty good job against Dustin Martin at times. Like, not every time.
Yeah.
God, not every time. But some of the time. Not too bad. So, yeah, it was a little bit hard. I felt bad for Frog, but you kind of know, and I think everyone knows the type of person that he is, and he... you know, I messaged you and said he'll bounce. Like, he'll bounce back. He always does.
Yeah. And, you know, the one thing that's given me a little bit of hope in this QClash lead-up is that we do bounce back as a team. You know, every time we've had our pants pulled down this year, we've bounced back pretty emphatically the next week, so hopefully that's going to be the case, but we'll have a chat about that later as well.
Do you want to talk about umpires? Do you want to rip that Band-Aid off? Because I don't think it's exclusive to our game.
No, I don't think it's exclusive to our game as well, but we're obviously, like, the talking point. There's a few talking points of the week. The whole, and I guess it's just lucky that Adelaide Collingwood was all the way back on Thursday night. There was some dubious calls in the GWS Hawthorn game, and then again in the Suns and the Freo game. But
Freo's first goal was a pure throw. Yeah, and it's like, and then everyone's ragging on Frederick missing from, you know, right in front, which he shouldn't have. But, you know, the little fella, little Chuck, and you could see it. A blind person could see it. And then you got Jordan Lewis. Now, I'm convinced Jordan Lewis is not actually blind, but he wears glasses so thick they make him blind.
Okay. Tinfoil hats come out. Here we go.
Yeah. Because he is the dumbest person in football.
Jeez. I think we give that a good running.
Sorry?
I said I think we give that a good run.
Yeah, but we don't try. I'm not... I mean, if you see me out here wearing like 7-inch rimmed glasses, trying to look smart, I'm quite clearly not smart. You know, I give my opinion because it's, you know, entertaining, I assume. I don't know. Jordan Lewis, dickhead. Umpiring. Yeah, we saw some soft ones across the weekend, didn't we?
Yep, and obviously we were the beneficiary of 3 goals in the second quarter from the soft free kicks. Let's call
I don't understand that you can make contact and bump players on a football field. You can't push them in the back. I don't understand. You can go shoulder to shoulder. It's a thing. The amount of free kicks for people getting pushed in the side is really annoying. Obviously, the Kyle Lohmann one with Tom Stewart was not a free kick. The Cam Rayner one, not a free kick. The second one you could argue, but even then, it's like...
The second one is more of a free kick, but it doesn't happen without the first one, clearly.
No, and we did hear from one of our Discord members, fancasters, whatever you want to call them, who were sitting behind the goals, said that... who was it? O'Connor. He'd been pinching him and grabbing him and had been warned by the umpires and it's probably a bit of shades of Nick Rewalls all those years ago where it's like, if you touch him, I'm just going to give a free kick. And that's probably what happened. Yeah, well,
have you watched First Crack?
No. God, no.
No, so there's behind the goal. Yeah, no, it's a bit like that. There's behind the goals vision of Cam Rayner going up to the umpire fairly demonstratively, like getting right up in his face, almost doing to the umpire what he reckons Mark O'Connor's doing to him. So there's obviously scragging, there's obviously pinching, there's obviously the shit that goes along with getting a tag. It's part of the game. He's gone to the umpire and it doesn't look good, the way he goes up to the umpire. It is from 100 meters away, so you don't actually know. But my guess is he's saying, hey, this guy is pinching, scragging, this, that, and the other. Like, can you just keep an eye on it? And then
when he gives the free kick away, when he pushes him, in inverted commas, the umpire does say, I did warn you.
Yeah.
That's what you hear. So it's not a good look, but I think when you have... there's nothing really in our game. I'm saying our game, I don't know why. In the game of football that is like a culmination of things. It's not like you've done this, and this, and that results in a free kick. That doesn't really exist. And I think that context does get missed a little bit when you have the AFL coming out saying, that's not a free kick. Because, of course, that's not a free kick. But if he said, you've done this and this and this, and you're really pushing up the boiling point, and if you touch him again, I'm going to give a free kick just because screw you, basically, you lose that context. And then, Cam Rayner becomes public enemy number 3. Don't know. I feel like there's a second, and someone else is in there somewhere. But I tell you what, holy shit, after that happened, was that last minute and a half of the second quarter the most hectic football you've ever seen ever?
Yeah, it's crazy because, we left the show last week and I said, we've built this respectful rivalry with Geelong where it's like, we've had some good chapters in finals, there's been a bit of to and fro, they've smashed us in finals, we've come back, we beat them in a prelim, and, the lead up to this game, we've had the wood over them. That respect is starting to dwindle, and now there's definitely some animosity there.
Yeah, but these things, everyone is so quick to forget when their team does it. Every team has done it historically all the time. And, I've said personally, because I hate people that duck, I hate people that roll, rolling the shoulders a little bit different. I think that's more clever. But if Ashcroft was kind of carrying on for free kicks and stuff the way that certain other players did, I would be kind of not supportive of that. And I don't like it when Lohmann, got done for staging or didn't or whatever. When Darcy Wilmot got done for staging and you were like, yep, fine him. I don't care. Get rid of it. I don't want it in the game.
Yeah.
I don't want... But then at the same time, the level of contact that was there and has been there for quite a lot of things it shouldn't warrant a free kick. So if you don't pay the free kick, it's then the guy just stands up and it's fine. And then you just do it the way that football always is. But that said, O'Connor got a free kick for a love tap to the chest that was barely against Rayner too. So, it was obviously softly umpired, and that's not what you want to see in finals because you want to see them bloody earn it.
Yeah, and especially finals, that obviously adds a layer to it. And, as much as I'm a Brisbane Lions fan, I'm a footy fan, and I hate to see that shit in the game, regardless if it's happening from with my team. That's not what footy, finals footy's about. It's not what you go to the footy to see. And it, thankfully for us, it stifled their momentum because they were on a tear, and it brought us back to within 2 goals. Now, I'm glad it didn't.
I think it gave more to them going forward than it probably did to us. So
well, it could have gone two ways, because I had Benny from the Hoops crew messaging me going, I hope this doesn't rattle them, like, this is... And I hope they can keep their composure and stuff. I said, I reckon this will just fire you up and motivate you more, so that by the time three-quarter starts, you're just going to come out on a tear. And they did.
Yeah, Max Holmes said that it really motivated them, because he's a slightly angry guy. I didn't realise how quiet...
Yeah.
How quiet
and
he can be.
He'd be a bit pissed off in his own right, because the last two finals he's played against us, he's blown his hammy out. So he was keen to get through the game, for one, and he played very, very well, Max Holmes. Like, he
was always going to be the danger man. Like,
Geelong had very little passengers. They were all really, really good.
Yeah, they were very good, and they exposed us in interesting ways that I think... I mean, it is funny you say don't get beaten by what you know, and it's... You look at it and go, where is the run and the difficulty going to come from? And you're like, well, I didn't think Bailey Smith was supremely good. I thought he was serviceable. I thought Max Holmes was much better. You're looking at Atkins to lock it in, and Ollie Dempsey to just, like...
Yeah, didn't he have a game?
Trust, a little bit like Fletcher did against Port Adelaide a couple of years ago, where it was going, he's playing on the wing, and you're floating forward because you're trusting what the guys in the middle are doing based on what's happening in the game. And, Levi and Bailey and I think McCluggage at times really got exposed by that, because they got sucked in, didn't contest the ball, or didn't, impact the contest rather, and then got done out the back. And it's like, I'm a simple man. I like my players impacting or spacing, and I think there were plenty of times where people got caught a little bit in the middle and that sort of a thing. But on the whole, I can't really fault the effort. Geelong just played possibly their best game I've seen Geelong play in 2 years, I want to say.
Yeah, they were very good, and Chris Fagan was very quick and very pointed in his praise for the Cats at the end of the game, and just said, look, you have to give Geelong all credit because they played well, and if I was Chris Scott, I'd be amazingly proud of how they played. And he even finished the press conference after the questions were done, said, don't forget how good Geelong were. So
that's how as a coach you deliver a press conference. Take note, other coaches.
Yeah, and he's right. Like, they were good. They obviously, the lead up to their finals, it was well documented. We spoke about it on the show here. Like, obviously the softer run in, the clean bill of health, and you did wonder, like, okay, are they going to walk into this finals game a little bit not unaware, because they've been to that many bloody finals in the last 20 years, but a false sense of, what it's actually going to be because they've played these softer teams in the lead up? No, they knew exactly what it was going to be like, and they brought it, and we looked a little bit deer in the headlights comparatively.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that I don't think it was a mentality thing. I think the answer to the question that was, would you rather come in battle hardened and a bit wounded, or go in with a clean bill of health and, technically untested? The answer is the latter, because I think physically we just couldn't quite go with them. And
it just felt like it's all starting to add up. The injuries, the shorter pre-seasons, the 7 years of finals in a row, everything's just sort of, and we just looked battered, and
we looked 5 to 10% off, and they looked 5 to 10% above what we probably were expecting. Yeah. And that's fine, but it's sort of, I think as far as players looking a little bit like the game maybe passed them by a little bit, not really. Like, Day didn't have a great one. I thought Levi Ashcroft didn't have a good one, and he was subbed. So he just didn't impact at all. But I do think out of the four finals, that was, while the game was in the balance, and the Fremantle Gold Coast game kind of worked in reverse, where the Lions Geelong game was very intense, very hectic, and then until it wasn't. Yep. And then it completely dropped off the cliff, whereas the Freo Gold Coast game I thought was just a normal game until about midway through the third quarter. So, but the manic amount of pressure that, Adelaide found it out. We got found out, but in a different sort of a way.
Yeah. Yes, we did. and got a lot of work to do if we want to get back on and make it to a prelim against the Pies in at the MCG. So a couple of things that the loss means is initially and this is just me kidding myself, I'm like, oh, at least we're on the easier side of the draw and we don't have to face the Giants. That's obviously not an issue now. And how thankful are all the Geelong fans that the Giants are not an issue anymore, because the Giants just have the wood over the Cats over the last 5 or 6 times they played. Doesn't matter where they play them.
That said, have they ever played him at the MCG, though?
Ooh,
I don't think
there might have been a final. There might have been a final in amongst the years there or something, but I don't know. I don't know.
That's one for the bean counters.
Yeah. So that's one side of it. The second side is that Brisbane Collingwood grand final rematch is no longer a possibility.
That's fine. I mean, I said off air that if the Lions found a way to win this premiership, I think it would be underrated, firstly, but I think it would be one of the most remarkable feats in football history, which I know sounds very hyperbolic, but we counted them out, and like Lachie Neale was there, but I didn't think he was properly fit. The cynic in me says, maybe he got rushed back 1 week early, and you'll never know. But I mean, there are 7 players, including Neale, that are kind of missing from the team that would be walk-in starters, in my opinion. Now, not everyone is going to have the same thing, but I mean, I'll fight anyone that says Link McCarthy doesn't contribute more than Charlie Cameron in that game overnight on Friday night. So, 7 players, and I was getting very jealous looking at Geelong, going, well,
must be nice.
And it is like, it's a weird one because we obviously had injuries last season, but those injuries enabled other players to kind of grow, and then like those guys kind of got injured, and then the ones that got injured didn't kind of come back. So there was this whole host of, it's been a difficult management, and everyone will know me that I'm ever the optimist. But yeah, if they somehow win the premiership from here, like, it should be talked about as one of the all-time greats, and it probably won't. It'll be like, oh yeah, of course they won. It's like, all right, Jared Waitley, cheers.
Well, I mean, I think we've done remarkably well to make top 4 in finals. Considering the last couple of premiers have failed to make finals, and then before that, D's went out straight sets. So we've done all right, and as I said to you as well, straight sets is not impossible at this juncture as well, with a tough game coming up. But it's all starting to add up, and the injuries are just getting more and more. That forward line is just, there's either old men that are too slow or young key position players that just simply aren't really ready. Like Logan Morris, he's had the exposure before. Gallup, I thought, did some really nice things. But, especially when players like Charlie Cameron and Kai Loman's been in and out of the team with injuries all year. And when he's been in, he hasn't trusted his body, and he just hasn't had the same output. Charlie Cameron's output has just been so far below what we know. And that's just him getting older, I suppose. And I guess for Charlie Cameron, he's sort of, it's whether or not he can, and this is probably a bit speculative, but he's forever been an amazing one-on-one attacking player, almost the best in the competition for so long. And he can't really do that anymore. He's lost the pace. He's lost the pace. He's lost his strength, and he's lost his nous and his agility, and his game sense. And it's almost like, because he's a half a second off, or half a step off the pace. Half a second's quite a long time, so maybe not that. But it's really up to him to either re-script himself or rewrite how he plays football, or we're going to be seeing this. And there were a couple of times he got in good positions, got his hands to the ball, but just like boofed the mark and then completely just lost it. And then you could see, as soon as that ball like came off his hands and dropped off, you could just see the confidence just go, oh man, again. And it was just impossible to recover from.
Yep, and I think he's basically there because they need some semblance of structure and leaders in the forward line. Logan Morris is a good forward, but he's not a leader yet. He's fucking 19 or 20 or whatever. Like, I don't know what you were doing at 19 or 20, but I certainly wasn't ready to lead a team of football playing men into like finals. Sure as hell not. I was probably running around kicking people. So, yeah, it's just, I think because of the injuries, we haven't had the ability to kind of, Link McCarthy would probably do that job, and he's always been like a pretty handy cog in terms of structure and positioning, and he knows how to, he's a facilitator. Same as Eric. Eric's a facilitator too. So if you're lacking them or you have them in a different way, like Day doesn't really know how we play, Gallup doesn't really know how we play, trouble. There's trouble. Yeah. So I was hoping we could kind of try and defend ourselves to a premiership, and I think a little bit hard.
Yeah. And look, we could be sitting here this time next week going, we're right back in this because we've absolutely obliterated the Gold Coast. So who the hell knows?
I'm massively looking forward to this game. I think after that game, I got quite a few messages from people saying I'm not looking forward to next week, and I'm going, I am. I want to watch our team play, and I don't care who they play. I want to watch them play better than what they did and see how things evolve. And if they go out, they go out, and it's like, have they underachieved this year? Of course they haven't. Of course they haven't. You said it yourself, looking back historically at the previous premiers. Those previous premiers didn't also have the absolute nightmarish fixture and injury that we've also had. And when you look at it within the context and go, they're doing pretty well. They're doing pretty well. And yeah. I hope they win. And I think they'll win. But if they don't, it's not the end of the world. No one needs to be sacked. No one needs to be fired. It's like, yeah. Do you want to do some awful votes?
Yeah, let's do some awful votes. So the system, for those of you that may have scrubbed it from your brain, it was this. 3 votes per quarter, 1 vote per player for 4 quarters, 12 votes total.
Yeah. And I thought rather than absolutely, going through the nightmare of going quarter by quarter, I will give you my votes in total. So are you writing this down?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool.
I'll type.
So I gave 4 votes to Harris Andrews. So he got 1 in every quarter for those wondering. 3 to Dunkley. 1 each to Fletcher, Starcevich, Berry, Bailey, and Rayner for being a shithead.
All right, so Stars, Berry, Bailey, Rayner. Did I miss anyone there?
I think that should be, if you got Fletcher at the beginning.
Fletcher. Nice.
That should be 12. And if it's not, then I don't know.
4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Lovely. Okay. Mine slightly different. I gave Darcy Fort 3 across 3 quarters. Harris got 2. Dunkley also 2. Zorko, Fletcher, Bailey, Will Ashcroft, and Dizzy Gardner.
Very good.
Yeah.
Hopefully, my
people are going to be playing mental gymnastics there, going, which quarter did that person get votes in?
Yeah. Okay. So ideally, I wanted to watch the game and then rewatch it and do my votes on the rewatch. No one was making me rewatch that game, so it all fell apart, and I'm sorry. All right, I'm very sorry.
Those votes brought to you by hoponbrewtours.com.au. Book yourself a half or full day tour at hoponbrewtours.com.au. Ooh, yeah, there you go. Harris, well, let's have a chat about some of these guys. Harris was obviously huge across the game, especially his second and third quarters, which are the quarters I gave him votes in. He was back to his best. Saved 5-6 goals single-handedly.
He was completely unflappable, impassable. Any other kind of word you want to choose. So gargantuous, which is not a word, but let's use it because everyone knows exactly what it means.
Dunkley was amazing across the whole day as well. Just the repeat effort after repeat effort, smothers, tackling. I mean, it's everything from Josh Dunkley. He did a lot of work. I don't know if you saw this, probably not because you're not on social media like a real person. He did a lot of work on his goal kicking across the week. Yeah, because obviously him, not alone, in that game against Hawthorn. Kicking's obviously never been his strong point, but he went and I think teamed up with the enhanced football guys and just like worked on his goal kicking. Obviously ended up with a goal in the last quarter, was it? Yeah, when we were sort of making a semi-late charge there to make it a little bit respectable, but it was all just junk time stuff. So just, yeah, that case of never looking to slow down and always looking to improve, and he was great, as always.
Yeah, there were some of the players, and not to talk down to some that were there, obviously, but I think Neil got a lot of praise for, I don't think, not very much. I didn't think he was halfway as clean as he could have been. I thought Levi struggled, Day struggled. It was pretty. I thought Wilmot struggled in the first half. He looked like he didn't have the space that you would normally expect him to have.
That comes down to the Cats as well. I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you got to expect that. Like you look at someone like Matt Rowell and how he knocked it out of the park, or even if you want to go the rising star fella for Fremantle, where he just looked.
Yeah.
He looked like he was not fazed by the conditions, and maybe that was because that game they were able to work into it a little bit more easily. And if they were playing Geelong, they would have looked like dickheads too. So, hard to see where the forward line particularly goes going forward.
I thought the midfield was all right, but just simply not damaging. I think and especially without Hugh having any impact, basically, just the damage from the midfield simply wasn't there. Bailey had moments of, like, he had a Zach Bailey game of moments of brilliance and moments of utter frustration. That's sort of what you can expect from him, though. So, yeah.
Liked the Berry goal.
Yeah, obviously that was really good. I thought Will was probably actually the most damaging moving forward with the ball.
Yeah, even then, some of the decisions were just slightly not quite right, and you just, whether it's trying to do a little bit too much or whether it's, the perceived pressure or not, it's hard to know. But yeah, it's a weird thing, football, when you don't play as well as you should. You don't particularly play awfully. There's just a few things you get slightly wrong, and Fags touched on the kind of over handballing and that sort of a thing, and getting done by that handball turnover going the other way. And Geelong play basically a perfect game. The margins are so fine for such a large kind of gulf in the score or in the quality or the perception. But I think if we played like that against most other teams in the 8, we would have won. And that might be the dumbest thing to someone listening, but I just think the relative thing, and Geelong beat anyone. Absolutely, they dominate anyone as well, if not worse, than they did to us.
Yeah,
in the finals.
It was very, very 2022 Geelong, wasn't it? Where they came into finals and just like lifted that many notches, and they just destroyed anyone in their path.
I think that it was a better performance than any. Like they played well in that finals, but it was a masterclass.
Yeah.
Should we go back to Thursday night?
Okay, we can do that.
Now, what was your... Obviously, I'm talking about one thing. What was your thought when you heard the boos?
I thought...
Surely not? Question mark?
Yeah, basically, I'm just thinking this is a bold call from... just from the moment that Isaac Ranken called... when he dropped the homophobic slur... Adelaide has mishandled this whole situation every step of the way. Like, the fact that they tried to weasel out of the punishment, they got it brought back a week. They sent Fogarty and Tex to do press conferences and talk about it, and Jordan Dawson, who, I love Jordan Dawson, but none of those people were equipped to deal with it. And then he goes away on a holiday without, confronting the team or whatever. He comes back 2 nights before. Suddenly all the chat's about him again in the lead up to a final. They bottled the final. Like, they looked scared of the bright lights of finals. And Collingwood would just simply that's finals experience in a nutshell. If you want to know what it is, like that's what it was.
It's two things. It's finals experience and it's relying on tolls to do the bulk of your scoring. But we'll talk about that another time. But
to boo Isaac Quaynor, who got what is the motivation there? How dare you get called a what?
Well,
what are you doing?
It's the definition of victim blaming, and I understand the modern world is there's a lot of PC and whatever that kind of culture and stuff, and some of it is good, some of it is definitely an overcorrection of just normal human behavior. But in a situation like this, like the whole dobbing thing, to me, it's not fucking primary school. It's like actual social issues, and I think there's quite a lot of people who are in that community that are Adelaide fans that are going, well, where does that leave us if we know where our club sits, and like how do we feel included in that kind of a thing?
And then Matthew Nix at the end goes, it's not for me to comment on. Come on, man. You don't have to slam them, but you can say it's disappointing. You can say that's not what we expect or tolerate from our fan. You don't have to go in on them, but you don't sit there and go, I don't know. It was a fired up crowd. I can't hear them through the glass.
See,
Come on, man.
I mean, I think Nix was absolutely weak in what he said, but my old favourite, Craig McRae, I didn't think was much better, because in the space of 30 seconds, he goes from, oh, were they booing him, were they? I thought they were saying
they were saying boo earns.
So he literally did the boo earns thing, and then 10 seconds later said, when I first heard them booing him, I was disappointed. So make up your mind, which one was it? Because you then read on the AFL website, Craig McRae slams crowd contact. It's like, no, he didn't. He said he didn't hear it, and then he said that he thought they were doing something else, and then he said that it's like, can any one of these other coaches conduct themselves in a way that a coach should, which is to translate between the football club and the fans what messaging they want to receive? Because we've talked about that, and when we were on further north, talking about North Melbourne, God forbid, I think one of the things we talked about was how Clarko has a distinct communication issue of being able to translate what he is doing with the club to the fans. That's what a press conference is for. It's not to ask like, oh, you got beaten, how was that? It's to say to the fans, this is where we're at as a club. This is what we stand for. This is what we're doing. This is where we're going. That's what makes, like, Chris Fagan early on in his career had such good rapport with the fans, because you knew, even when we got belted by 80 points, he's like, yep, these things I saw that I liked, and look at this thing, and we're trying this, and you go, cool, there's something to do with it. So it's not about answering questions to fucking Mitch Cleary or Sam McClure. It's translating your club's messaging to the fans. And both Nix and McRae utterly failed in their duty to do that. So they were both as bad as each other.
How about first of all, that Isaac Quaynor though, rocking the bright boots,
awesome game,
killed it on the day as well. Like,
he was fantastic, and I hope that he's. I don't know how this has happened. So Adelaide played Collingwood and somehow made Collingwood look like the good guys, and they will now play Hawthorn, who are the most hateable team in the AFL, and will somehow go in as the heels.
Crazy. Like, it's crazy that you can get neutrals to go for Collingwood, isn't it?
It's absolutely, it's baffling. Because I think, as a general rule, I mean, my experience living in Victoria for nearly 7 years now, Hawthorn are unanimously one of the most hated teams out of anybody. Everyone hates Hawthorn. It almost goes without saying. The other teams people can be a bit apathetic about, but Adelaide, geez. That guy, Broden Kelly, or whatever his name is, he called it a few weeks ago. I don't know if you saw his sort of spiel about Adelaide fans and how they were in the 90s.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did say that, yeah.
I don't know what he's from. I think you've mentioned it once or twice or something, maybe some sort of podcast.
I mean, he's from Auntie Donna, and then, like, the footy with Broden Kelly is pretty I haven't listened to it much this year, it must be said.
I think he did that
it's a great
interview with
show.
Max Gawn where Max Gawn talked about like Fort and Henry Smith maybe. So that's the only other content I've heard. But it was interesting listening to that going, yeah, well, you called it about 3 weeks ago and here we are. So, shameful, do better. And anyone that kind of is a bit, in agreement with it, you can go to. Don't need you.
All right, well, let's get back to the Lions here. The Twos, as I said, heartbreaking loss to Box Hill. We just can't seem to beat Box Hill in the VFL. There's something about that matchup that works for them. Even when we're 33 points up at three-quarter time, a 9-goal to 3
kicking
last
with
quarter.
the wind in the last
kicking
quarter.
with the wind, 9 goals to 3. Heartbreak on the siren. I thought bloody Sticks Ryan had done it, but no. So that is the VFL season done and dusted. Agonisingly short of a prelim final. Dev was good. Connor McKenna was good again. Oscar was good. Henry Smith was good. Bruce was good.
Yeah, I switched on. I'd been following the score and I switched on and saw Henry Smith and Brandon Ryan kick their goals and thought, hey, here's me, lucky charm. And then we had the centre clearance and Bruce made a mistake. Big mistake. Where he did not take possession of the ball and take the heat. He paddled it on, it went straight to them and went back over his head. So that was a mistake, and that kind of correlates to what I was saying before about our team having difficulty creating repeat stoppages and the Paul Roos mess, as we could call it. So it was a shame, but good job to that other guy.
Changes for this QClash final, obviously based off this VFL result, perhaps. There's been a fair amount of talk about, all right, maybe no Day, maybe no Gallup, and maybe Henry Smith comes back in, maybe Oscar comes in for Day, and we run a 2-ruck against Witsy, who's been pretty bloody good against us.
He has. I think if we were playing Fremantle, we probably would have done 2 rucks. Given what's his face, the Minotaur. So, but I don't know. I can see Henry Smith coming in for Day. I'd probably say like
that's
that.
A young forward line.
That's what I said.
That's such a young forward line.
4, 5, 6 weeks ago that I'm like, that could be an absolute car crash of a forward line. But what's better? What's really going to happen here?
I don't know. I mean, I hate it because every time we've done it, it doesn't work, but I'm sort of leaning towards bringing Oscar in for Sam Day.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. I think, there's going to be 2 changes in that sort of a sense. You've got, well, maybe they weren't. Sorry. Won't. I can't say won't. Maybe there won't be a change in the forward line. I do not think that Bruce will come back into the side because I just think that is a glaring error, and it's the sort of thing that probably, if I was coaching, that doesn't get rewarded as a call up to the first team. Because
I thought aside from that, he was pretty good across the day.
Yeah, possibly. I didn't see it, so I'll defer to you. But
so you're gonna go off one moment. I mean,
absolutely.
If he comes in as sub. Marshall goes into the team, and the shuffling Bailey gets more midfield minutes, as was the case when Lockie was out of the team. The other option is you do go a like for like type. You bring in Tunstall or Dev.
I think our centre play was perfectly cromulent in the weeks. Even the Sydney game, we just got done in transition there. So I think that we just go with what we did in the games leading up rather than changing it. I like Tunstall, but I don't think that there's any necessity to have him there. I could see Connor McKenna coming in as a sub.
Yeah, that's another one
particularly
there
if we're in a
sure.
situation where we're lacking something in the forward line and we need a little bit of a shot in the arm. I mean,
he's been good up forward.
Yeah, and he's versatile, and he's a player, and that's what we need is players. He's a premiership player.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate the thought of Kenny coming back in. Yeah, I don't hate that at all.
But the changes are kind of... Yeah, we just need something that can stick in the forward line, and whether that's Owie coming back in for Day, could be. Not sure, though.
All right, well, let's get to some questions. Thanks to chriscoms.co, giving you free Brisbane Lions Fancast stickers. And you get those to the website, brisbanelionsfancast.com.au. A couple come through on the Discord, which is something else you can join through the website. The links are all there. So we're going to work our way through these. Secondhand says, my question, after this final against Geelong, do you think because we have made 7 years in a row that it might starting to take a toll on some of our players with extra stress, the extra travel over the years on the bodies? Well, we sort of touched on it. They did look like, we just looked not weary, but it's just got that feeling of it's all catching up.
Yeah, so there was a question that sort of, it wasn't a question to the podcast, but it was a point of topic that came up that was about the idea of taking that more traditional Geelong sort of approach of managing players throughout the year. And I said, just ask JB. I've been talking about wanting our club to do this for, I'd say at least 2 seasons, maybe not a bit beforehand. I can't fully remember. But I think contextually, the injuries we've had have not enabled us to be able to do that. Because you're not in a situation where you can go, all right, well, Payne's feeling a bit whatever, we'll rest him a bit. And Harris we just have not had the ability to shuffle anyone around. And I mean, I've called for it throughout the season of, putting Zorko as the sub and changing things around to try and maintain that. And I think had we... Occam's razor says that the injuries that we've had, all of the ACLs and the patella tendon blowout and the Achilles, it's bad luck. You could look at a lot of other factors of, are the grounds too hard? Are they overtraining? Are they doing this? Are they under recovering? I don't think so. I think sometimes a bloke does an ACL or a bloke's Achilles just goes bang, or things like that. And particularly, I don't think the guys that have had repeat issues like Link McCarthy or Tom Doedee, I don't think it's a case of them it being a re-injury of the same injury. It's a new injury in the same spot, if that makes sense. Because they've happened right on the cusp of... We'll get back to the question, trust me. But they've happened where they've been going into game situation and really amping up into becoming match fit, which I think training and playing games is very different. And some of the skills in terms of protecting yourself, your body shape, things like that are just a little bit different. You're not in control. People aren't necessarily looking out for you. And that's where those things can happen. You're probably always more susceptible to actually having not a re-injury, but those injuries when you're working up towards that level of fitness. So, is it taking a toll? I think this season is taking a toll in and of itself, but not a culmination of it, because Geelong have played a lot of finals. They've played in a lot of final series. They've had a lot of long seasons. And I would like to see us manage better, but we just haven't been afforded that opportunity.
Yep.
So, sorry, that's my padded word essay university question. So, any thoughts on that one, Senor Brooks?
I think it is all starting to catch up. And how's Eric Hipwood, though, by the way? We haven't even spoken about this. Eric Hipwood goes in for a scan on his calf to see how that's going. Oh, it turns out you've been playing with a partial tear in your ACL since April. And you think about it, it's like he kicks that 5 against the Bulldogs, and then he has to play second ruck. He's been thrown key defence. He hasn't been hitting the scoreboard. He's still been running up and down the ground like a madman, bailout kicks, all that sort of stuff. And you've been doing this all with a torn ACL, and to go home and have your own fan base go, you're shit. Jeez.
That's why we never call him shit. The talent that he possesses has clearly been compromised by his last 2 seasons of osteitis pubis.
And you could tell, because that first handful of games this year, Like, we had him best on against Collingwood. Now, that's not saying much because we had fucking no one show up that day. But, not long after that, the 5 against Bulldogs, he had another game where he kicked a bag as well, or, was at least good for 3 or 4. And then it all just went downhill from there. So it looks like he's going to be missing for a good portion of next year. Maybe
that's
around
the thing
bye.
with the tears is they're the same level of recovery, basically, because you still have to open it up, stretch and pin, that old chestnut. So it'll put a little bit of pressure on the new fella, and it'll put a little bit of pressure on the other guys we've got at the moment. So, that was, like, unsurprising, and that's exactly the kind of heart that you want in the team. So,
yeah. All right, Ziggy, if you're Chris Fagan and you need to really rally the troops, a battered and bruised outfit of reserve players and veterans, what are you going to say to the boys on the eve of a semi-final? Jeez, looking to us for some sort of inspirational speech here.
You're the radio voice. You can field this one.
I think, Fags has had this group for a long time now. You don't need to say a huge amount anymore. Like, whatever needs to be said has been said over the course of the last 7 years going into finals. You just say, what you guys are capable of. It's how bad do you want it at this point? Are you going to let the first QClash final going to go the same way it went when we played them, a handful of weeks ago? Or are you going to stamp your authority on this again and give yourselves a chance of going back-to-back here?
Backs to the walls in a QClash. Seen that before.
Mm.
Yeah, I think, it took us, we didn't win a final in our first season. I'm not a motivational kind of guy. I'm more of a, don't let these guys embarrass you. They're having a good time, but end that dude's career.
There you go. Only Cams, does the club need to go shopping for a new forwards coach in the off-season? And what do we do with Charlie? I want to be a bit more pragmatic than just say drop him to the reserves. So he's going to be picked in, week out, until he's not on the list. Is there another role he can play for the team? Well, the first part of that question is very possibly we need to be going for a new forwards coach because Stewie Dew could be off to Port Adelaide. So that, yes, possibly we'll need to be shopping for a new forwards coach.
Yeah, I think
regardless.
dependent on whether that happens or not. But I think if he wasn't going, I wouldn't say so because I just don't think we've had the personnel this season that to actually implement things. And when we have, it's resulted in Logan Morris kicking 5 goals on multiple occasions. So if Logan Morris is scoring big and you're facilitating in that way, we have seen some changes with the one coming from forward line into the stoppage and stuff like that, but I would say no. And the Charlie stuff kind of talked about that earlier on.
Yeah. Is there another role for him? Not really. He's back up. If you're not hitting the scoreboard, Charlie, your job is to put on pressure. And I think largely he's done that fairly all right this year. He was not good on Friday, but he wasn't alone. And he's had some games this year where he has been really bad. He's had some games where he's been pretty good. He's had games where he hasn't hit the scoreboard but still been good with his pressure and teamwork and all that sort of stuff. The Geelong game in GMHBA for one. The game against Carlton, I think, as well, he was pretty good in that aspect. But, that forward line is going to look different next year. Obviously, Oscar Allen comes in. That's a huge difference. He takes the number 1 defender. Link should be back. Kalachi may or may not be part of that forward line. How's that going to look? It depends on who else we draft. Sam Draper is going to be potentially another one that comes in and will float forward as well. So it is going to look different next year. I think
it's
for the
something
better.
to look forward to, surely. But as far as Charlie's role, it's really hard to see, and I don't know that he has a free pass to be a passenger all the time. I've been very patient with him throughout this year and throughout last year as well. But it's just getting a little bit. Maybe it's the sort of thing where when it's not, the forward line's not fully functioning, it becomes very obvious that it's is he a fair weather forward that operates really well in a system that's working really well? Once we get that system right, does that then also make him play better? Yeah. I don't 100% know. So, he needs to do some thinking about how he plays the football.
Big off season, and look, maybe at his exit meeting and during another preseason, his role is changed, more clearly defined. Whatever. Another preseason in Takai. Hopefully, he can get back somewhere to near his best in 2026. And then you've also got Will McLaughlin there as well.
To me, if I'm looking at our forward line and going, you're picking, round 1 next year. Now let's look at it and go, Oscar Allen will be there, Logan Morris will be there, Ty Gallup will probably be there because Sam Draper's still recovering from a Achilles, and
he should be back.
Should he? Didn't he do his Achilles this year?
Yeah, but I think it was real early on. I think he should be close to good to go.
Well, I don't think he'll play as another forward. I think he'll go in as a ruckman one way or the other. But
he'll be the number 1 ruck, and he's pretty handy up forward.
Yeah. But so you'd have the 3. So I think Gallup will probably start the season, barring something else that happens. And then if you're looking at your smalls, I would be playing Calamachi if he's still there, Lohman and Lincoln McCarthy. I'd be playing those 3. So I wouldn't have Charlie in my best 22 going into next season personally.
Yeah. Yeah,
worth noting that if Kadeem Coleman's fit, Zorko doesn't make it either. So,
right, okay. Next one. This is from Secondhand again. Is it time for the Ashcroft's legacy to take control of this final series and chuck them in the guts?
Yes, and Levi will have to do better than what he did.
It's very strange that they started Lockie and Will on the bench for the start of the game on Friday. And the midfield was, what was it, Hugh, Dunkley, and Zach, which I like Zach getting in there a bit more. It's been good, and we're obviously going to see a bit more of that. But it's sort of I don't know, and maybe it's just reading into something that's not necessarily there. The fact that we started Hugh on the bench in the second quarter as well because he was getting blanketed is sort of like, I don't know, are you scared? Is that just admitting defeat by you putting these guys on the bench not to expose them to more torture?
I think it was poorly played mind games, if that makes sense. And I think sometimes you should just put your, particularly the first bounce of the game. Yeah, it's bold to put your 2 kind of most aggressive midfielders with your kind of cover, but we got pretty much dominated out of centre clearance. So
yeah,
sometimes you need people that are going to track and find the ball, and Will's very good at that. Lockie's good at that, so he won't be good at that for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So I did see someone say something quite funny that was along the lines of, Lockie Neal's still good for the grand final. All we need is 4 weeks of concurrent cyclonic weather over every major footballing stadium in the country, and then lock him in for the Norm Smith.
It's crazy that the man whose reputation is largely built off the size of his calves has done a calf. And you could tell how bad it was as soon as it happened as well. You could just see that thing blew right up. Yeah, and how devastated he was as well. And he was trying to stay out there. And he's like, come on, man, you're done. You are done here.
I think kind of weirdly enough, last final series was a bit of a not quite what I'm going to say because he was fantastic in that final series, but he is the sort of player where I feel when he's not fully fit, if he's struggling with something, and we saw it in 2021, the years after he won the Brownlow, I think. If he is struggling with something physical, he can actually drop quite a bit off in terms of his performance level, and it's almost like, just take a bit of time off, dude. You'll be fine. Like, we can kind of cover this. Actually, going back to what Ziggy asked, maybe I'd bring the stats out for games we've played without Lockie Neal. Just be like, this is what we do without Lockie. It's fine. We win them. Reece Matheson used to come in. Let's get him back. Let's not do that, obviously.
Last one from simply just W on the Discord. He wants to preface this conversation with, I was a bit drunk, so apologies if I got it wrong. Did Sam Day not ruck much because he was too slow for either SDK or Blitzarves? Are we sticking with him for the Suns, or do we try Henry Smith again as he's slightly more mobile and may have some impact where Sam did when Eric was there, but without he struggled to be involved? All right, so without
was he drunk?
Eric,
Was he drunk when he read the message, or when he watched the game, or when he wrote the message?
Both. It seems like both.
Okay.
Well, now the question was sent at 9:32 a.m., so I hope not. Are we sticking with Sam Day? Or are we bringing Henry Smith in because when Eric's not there, Sam Day seems to be less effective, I think is the crux of that.
Well, I think we kind of sort of thought maybe O would come in.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
wouldn't
hard
be
to know.
surprised if there is a change, whether it's Day, whether it's Gallup. I think something will happen there. But once again, Chris Fagan is pretty conservative and not one to overreact with selection. So maybe we'll see no change.
It could also be the case of Day playing against Gold Coast as well. So
yeah. A bit of IP there, so who knows?
Yes, I'll sort of leave that one for the wicketkeeper.
All right, let's do the wheel, because it's been a minute since we've done the wheel. And I think we need some sort of joy, and then we'll have a bit of a chat about the Suns in just a sec here. So I cannot for the life of me remember whose turn it is to pass or hold on whoever gets spun up first on this wheel.
Yeah, no idea. Should we do it reverse alphabetically? Which would be me.
I'm just going to spin it and I'll... Okay, fine. You can pass or hold. Jack Redden.
I'm passing on that West Coast scummer.
Okay, so I'm stuck with Jack Redden. You have got Lachie Neale.
Wow, this is going to be a fun one, isn't it?
Two-time Brownlow medalist Lachie Neale.
That Western Australian scummer with the calves that don't work.
Yeah.
Now, be honest. Would you have passed or skipped on Jack Redden?
I probably would have skipped on Jack Redden. I probably would have thought, or maybe I can make a case here because before we had Josh Dunkley, he was Josh Dunkley light, a tackling midfielder that would get 30-odd each week. But that's about it. That's about all I can say for Jack Redden. He was a decent enough player in a time where we were really, really shit.
Him and Rockcliffe kind of were sort of the masters of looking like they did a lot of stuff without really doing a lot of stuff, I feel. He won a premiership, I guess.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. He's no Lachie Neale, though.
No, this wheel has really... It's not been good. It's only just begun. It's not good. Yeah, I mean, Lachie Neale has won 2 Brownlow medals and was sort of a transformative element of our club.
Premiership captain.
Yeah. The cup
very,
toucher.
very good at football. Yeah. Bloody, how many time BNF across 2 different clubs?
Has
close
garbage
to 5.
tattoos.
Yeah, 6, yeah.
Did you see there was a video about the Fremantle grand final team against Hawthorn where they kind of cooked it. Ballantyne cooked it basically, and Fife, where they showed Lachie Neale in his first year, and it's just like, it was tremendously
the big troll doll
terrifying.
hair.
It was a bit much. Well, I don't know what else to say about Lachie Neale, but he's
I don't know that we need to talk. We don't need to talk too much about it. So let's have a chat about the Suns.
Great wheel. Beautiful. That amount of levity and cut the tension. It didn't just remind us of the guy that's now not playing. How good. The bad juju continues on. So
the Gold Coast Suns QClash final. It is a great moment for Southeast Queensland footy. It is when you take a step back and when you're not invested in one particular club, I think this is awesome because there's been that many Q clashes where the build-up has been, this is the most important, this one's got the most attached to it. Now we can actually say it, and it means something because at the end of the day, one of these teams will be knocked out of finals. Now, there's a fair argument to be made that the Gold Coast Suns cashed in all their bickies last night against Freo and that was their grand final. It's going to be hard to replicate that, from everything to the emotional relief that they would have felt with David Swallow getting the winning point. So they would have come back from Perth.
Was it Erasmus that was on the mark?
I think so, yeah.
Do you reckon he will be haunted by appealing for the point throughout the remainder of his career because the point was better than the goal. Like,
yeah,
no
it certainly
two ways
made it
about
hard
it.
for them.
Like that was the
And then-
dumbest thing ever to argue that. Just let it go. Just ignore it. Just be like, nah.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't, I suppose.
No.
because-
Not damned if you don't. The ball's back in the middle if you don't. So
I suppose.
it was, yeah. How did you read the final on the whole? That one, the Fremantle and did you watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it was a good game. I thought the Suns looked really good. The Suns looked really good. Rao was it. Oof. And if the last QClash is anything to go by, we are going to have to put some effort into Matt Rao and Noah Anderson because, my God, Matt Rao was a man possessed last night. Even when he's bleeding from the face.
The impact kind of waned in the last quarter. I think they did look a little bit leggy. Fremantle, I thought, were awful until about midway through the third quarter. They were terrible. They couldn't do anything. And you're sitting there going, yep, when they made their sub and brought Fife on, and you're going, I get it's Jaeger O'Meara's 200th game, but you're not winning a premiership with Jaeger O'Meara in your team. It's just not happening. You're not like, why are you reshuffling him to a back pocket? He's just, I don't know. I'm focusing very much on something that doesn't really matter, but I just irrationally dislike Jaeger O'Meara. So Fremantle just long up the line. They weren't brave. Suns were braver. Yeah. The Suns should have put them away, but I didn't expect the Suns to come back when they went behind. And it was only Long Muir's complete fecklessness to be able to defend a lead, Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But the trip back from Western Australia tends to be the more difficult one. So the game after, so that should put us in reasonable stead. I think either way, the travel was kind of inconsequential. So on the whole, happy to be playing the Gold Coast.
I think truth be told, I would have preferred to play Freo because that last outing against the Gold Coast is still pretty fresh. And the last two times we played the Suns, it's been the midfield that has been, we smashed them up in whenever it was round 8, give or take. They smashed us in the midfield a couple of weeks ago, and they brought in Davies as a big-bodied midfielder who hasn't left the team. Flanders is there. Oh yeah, Fiorini's there as well. That forward line looks much more balanced now without Walter there, and they've got Jai Farah there instead. Long is back. Ben Long's back to near his best as well.
Jared Waitley called the Humphreys being the game breaker was.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see that Rayner was quite good in our game. Humphreys was really good, and DeGoey. It's that kind of prototype player that is really built for finals, and Humphreys was good. So, Bodie Hewland, I like him.
Yeah, I like Bodie Hewland as well.
I mentioned in the in-game on the Discord, I said Bodie Hewland is like Starcevic 2.0, and then he proceeded to make an error which cost him a goal, and I was like, well, sorry, buddy. Really done that for you. So, but I looked it up. He's the same height and about 2 kilos lighter. Not that they do weights anymore. So, he really is.
There you go. They didn't have Toot Miller last QClash. They didn't have Rioli either. So those are two inclusions that are big for them. And obviously our list is pretty different as well with all the injuries that we've accrued. I'm not sure we wouldn't have had Answorth or Payne the last time we played them. But we would have had Lockie. Do we have Lockie? We would have.
Yeah,
Lockie,
we did. Yeah.
But that game was we phoned it in. The effort simply wasn't there. It was one of those games, and there was a lot of talk about flu and illness going through the club as well. Never confirmed nor denied. Who cares? We got smacked. We didn't show up.
Yeah, that game was basically a fever dream. So it's hard to really know, how to judge it on a metric. But I think it is with Tuke and Rioli being back in. I think Rioli almost it funnels. It'd sort of be like if we didn't have Zorko playing in the team, you'd be like, well, where's the ball going to go? And then Zorko comes back in, you go, well, there's the focal point of where the ball's going to be coming to and through. And I think Rioli gives you that point of reference, I think, a little bit. Tuke just does whatever he wants, and the squirrel grips will be out in this Q clash. So, and he's been throwing chat already, which is good. Hopefully, Fagan gives him the aeroplane when they're saying goodbye to Swallow on his last outing. So, yeah, it'll be good. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. At this stage, and by the time that people hear this, they will probably already have their tickets or close to, because I think members pre-sale goes on at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, Monday morning, and then like partial members is 11. I think general tickets are sort of 2 or 3 in the afternoon tomorrow. So most people would probably have their situation sorted by the time you're hearing and watching this. So cheers. I'm glad I said all that then.
Good job getting tickets if you got tickets, and if you didn't, sorry.
I mean, the QClash earlier this year, I think, was a sellout. So I think this will obviously be pretty close as well. And because it's an AFL finals, they're in charge of the tickets, so there will probably be a healthier showing of Sun supporters. So it'll be good. It'll be interesting.
The travelling fans did bloody work this first round. They were loud. So good on them, I guess, people travelling. I don't know where I'm going with that. So,
it's going to be a cracker. And, I'm very much looking forward to it, 7:30 at the Gabba. I'm worried, though. I am worried.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, what's the worst that happens? They get beaten. And it's like, well, yep, wasn't our year. It wasn't our year last year, and we somehow turned water into wine, and then this year it's not our year, and we've turned water into shit. So that'll be my assessment of the season. So
I can't think of a more perfect place to leave the podcast than that.